everyone. Welcome to our Blog Talk radio show. Our show is captured and linked to YouTube video. The programs are listed in the archives of both Blog Talk and YouTube video. You can watch as well as listen. Links will be found on our Facebook page, Musings with Steve and Teresa. We welcome your opinions during our discussion. I'm Teresa, the only host today. I'm here to enlighten, entertain, and inform about issues that Steve and I think are important. We want people to think about how positive actions make positive people. Anyone wanting to join our discussion can call us at 347-308-8409. You'll be next in line. Again, that's 347-308-8409. As you can see or not, depending upon whether you're listening or watching, Steve's not here today. He's doing his civic duty as an election judge at the New Boston polls. He's been doing it since 2007, and this is his 10th election as a judge. The judges, some from each party, make sure protocol is followed and everything is done on the up and up. It keeps everybody honest. He says it's very ritualistic. He says they also help us cast our votes and figure out how those silly machines work. That's the people behind the table. They stay the entire day guarding our ballots and don't release them until they pass them on later in the night. Makes me so proud of my pa. Thank you, Pa. So it's just me, Teresa, today. So it's election day. And that's the topic, not politics. We're going to poke fun at the process. Okay, here we go. Politics is the gentle art of getting votes from the poor and campaigns funds from the rich by promising to protect each from the other. If con is the opposite of pro, is Congress the opposite of progress? I don't know. Maybe. A politician should have 3 hats. One for throwing into the ring, one for talking through, and one for pulling rabbits out of if elected. Carl Sandburg said that. An election is coming. Universal peace is declared, and the foxes have a sincere interest in prolonging the lives of the poultry. There are always too many Democratic congressmen, too many Republican congressmen, and never enough U.S. congressmen. That reminds me of this story about a silly man that's going out on the politician stump speech on an Indian reservation, trying to get the Native American ballot. He says, if I elected, I promise better education for Native Americans, he says. The crowd goes wild, calling out, Hoya, Hoya! He doesn't have a clue what the word means, but he figures they look so excited, and he goes on. He says, I promise to propose legislation permitting a casino to build on this reservation, he says. The crowd gets even more frenzied and keeps shouting, Hoya, over and over. Encouraged by the cheers, he finishes his speech. And if elected, I promise to ensure better health care and employment options for Native Americans. The crowd is at a fever pitch, stamping their feet and yelling, Hoya, Hoya, Hoya. His speech finished, the guy shakes some hands, kisses some babies, and decides to go on a tour of the reservation before hitting the campaign trail again. He comes across a huge herd of cattle and says to the guide, I was raised on a ranch. Mind if I go over and take a closer look at the cattle? Sure, the guide says. Be careful not to step in the Hoya. Hoya! Oh, mercy. In his Gettysburg Address, Abraham Lincoln called democracy government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It means that we're not here to serve our government, but that our government is here to serve us, and we have the right to decide who will represent us and how we want to be represented. It means that we have one of the greatest rights any free people can have, the right to vote. Why should I vote, you ask? Your vote will hold your local and national leaders responsible for the decisions they make. Your vote sends a message about the issues you think are important. Your vote affirms our rights as free citizens to elect our government and take part in democracy. Without voting, there could be no democracy. By not voting, you give away your right to influence the government overall. More importantly, however, not voting takes away the will of the majority that governs the country, but replaces it with the will of the minority. That means you don't really have a say if you don't vote. And I came across a really good story the other day when I was making blankies for Gigi's Blankies about this corrupt senator that one day died tragically when he was hit by a car. His soul arrives in heaven and he's met by St. Peter at the gate. St. Peter says, "Welcome to heaven. But before you settle in, it seems we have a problem. We seldom have such a high official around these parts. So we're not sure what to do with you." And the senator says, "Well, no problem, just let me in." St. Peter says, "Well, I have orders from higher ups. You'll have to spend one day in hell and one day in heaven, and then you can choose where to spend eternity." He says, "Really? I want to be in heaven." "I'm sorry, but we have our rules." And so St. Peter escorts him in the elevator and goes down, down, down to hell. The doors open, and he finds himself in the middle of a green golf course. In the distance is a clubhouse, and standing in front of it are all his friends and other politicians who had worked with him. Everyone is happy, and they're all in evening clothes, black ties and tails. They run to greet him, shake his hand, and reminisce about the good times they had while getting rich at the expense of others. They play some golf and have some dinner. Also his president is the devil, who's really a very friendly guy and is having a great time dancing and telling jokes. And then it's time for the senator to go. Everyone says bye, and he goes on up the elevator with St. Peter up to heaven. He's up there for 24 hours, joining a group of contented souls moving from cloud to cloud, playing the harp and singing. They have a good time, and soon he realizes that his 24 hours are up, and St. Peter returns. "Well then, you spent the day in hell and another in heaven. Choose your eternity." The senator reflects for a minute, then he answers, "Well, I would have never said it before. I mean, heaven has been beautiful, but I think I'd be better off in hell." So St. Peter escorts him in the elevator, and he goes back down, down, down to hell. Doors of the elevator open, and he's in the middle of a barren field covered with waste and garbage. And there's all his buddies dressed in rags picking up the trash. And more trash keeps falling. The devil comes over and puts his arm around him. He says, "I don't understand," stammers the senator. "Yesterday I was here, and there was a golf course and a clubhouse. We had lobster, caviar, a big party. Now it's just a wasteland full of garbage, and my friends look miserable. What happened?" The devil smiles and says, "Yesterday we were campaigning. Today you voted." You have to vote wisely is the moral of that one. And you think one vote doesn't matter, but it does. Throughout history, one vote has changed the course of history. In 1776, one vote gave America the English language instead of German, at least according to folklore. In 1800, Thomas Jefferson was elected our third president by a one-vote margin. In 1824, John Quincy Adams defeated forerunner Andrew Jackson by one vote to become the nation's sixth president. In 1845, Texas was admitted to the Union as a state by one vote. In 1846, a one-vote margin in the U.S. Senate approved President Polk's request for a declaration of war against Mexico, one vote. In 1850, California was admitted to the Union by a margin of one vote. In 1849, Oregon was admitted to the Union by a margin of one vote. The Alaska Purchase of 1867 was ratified by just one vote. In 1889, by a one-vote margin, Washington was admitted to statehood with the Union. In 1890, by a one-vote margin, Idaho became a state. And on November 8, 1923, in a Munich, Germany beer hall, by a majority of one vote, an ex-soldier named Adolf Hitler was chosen to become the Nazi Party leader. One vote can make a difference. You get registered and vote every election, not just the presidential years. Found another story about a presidential election where it was too close to call. Neither the senior candidate nor the junior candidate had enough votes to win. There was much talk about ballot recounting, court challenges, etc., but a week-long ice fishing competition seemed the sportsman's way to settle things. The candidate that caught the most fish at the end of the week would win the election. So they decided that the contest would take place on a remote frozen lake in northern Minnesota. There was to be no observers present, and both men were sent out separately on the isolated lake and return at 5 p.m. every day for the catch to be counted. At the end of the first day, the senior candidate returned to the starting line and had 10 fish. Soon, the junior candidate returned. He had no fish. Well, they just assumed he was having another bad hair day or something, and hopefully he'd catch up the next day. At the end of the second day, the senior candidate came in with 20 fish, and the junior came in with none again. That evening, the junior candidate's advisors got together with him and said, "I know that other guy must be cheating. He's a low-life, dirty, cheating son of a gun. I want you to go out tomorrow and don't bother fishing. Just spy on him and see how he's cheating." The next night, after the senior returns with 50 fish this time, the junior reports to his advisors, "Well, tell me, how is he cheating?" The junior man replied, "Well, sir, you're not going to believe this, but he's cutting holes in the ice." Moral on that one is experience counts. I have another one. When I was cutting blankets the other day, I heard this one, somebody read this one on the internet, and I thought I would share it with you. It was time to elect a world leader, and your vote counts. Here's the scoop on the 3 leading candidates. Candidate A associates with ward healers and consults with astrologists. He's had 2 mistresses. He chain smokes and drinks 8 to 10 martinis a day. Candidate B was kicked out of office twice, sleeps until noon, used opium in college, and drinks a quart of brandy every evening. Candidate C is a decorated war hero. He's a vegetarian, doesn't smoke, drinks an occasional beer, and hasn't had any illicit affairs. Which of these candidates is your choice? Well, candidate A is Franklin D. Roosevelt, associated with ward healers, consulted astrologists, drank, smoked, had mistresses. Winston Churchill's candidate B, kicked out of office twice, slept till noon, drug abuse in college, and drinking every night. Finally, candidate C, the decorated war hero, vegetarian, doesn't smoke, drinks an occasional beer, turns out to be, of all people, Adolf Hitler. So again, you got to be informed and make your vote count. Today I poked fun at the election process, something I enjoy tremendously, and I explained the importance of voting. One vote can make a difference. Get registered and vote. I'll be voting on the way home when it's time to go start back to the blankie working, but I'll stop and vote on the way home, and I'm going to do my civic duty like Steve. It's your duty to vote, so get out and do it. I hope you had as much fun as I. Our mission on these Blog Talk Radio presentations is to stimulate your thinking, prod your mind into new channels, pump up your interest in life, rebuild your enthusiasm around the world around us. Whether you're pro and con, we insist that you join us as we investigate, evaluate, and participate. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
60 seconds.
We want to thank you for listening to our podcast today. The program is archived at Blog Talk Radio, and video links will be posted on the Facebook page before the end of the day. Steve will be back next week with us on March 13th at 2 p.m. We'll be discussing Changing Times, First Memories. Some will be Steve's, some will be mine, and some will be ours. Join us, and maybe some memories will be yours. I'm Teresa, and for Steve, I thank you for listening. Remember to think positive, be positive, live positive, enjoy. See ya!